Thanks for the introduction. Welcome, everybody. And yes, on behalf of myself, our Department of Teacher Education and Human Services and Owens Community College, we welcome you to our virtual campus. I guess that's what we'll call it for today. I know from way back in the spring when Michelle first came on board, I said, we have this forum that we host in teacher education. I don't know what we're going to do, but hopefully we can make something work. And I think through the EC3 group, Michelle and our team in Department of Teacher Education, I've come up with a great option of trying to meet the needs of this forum in this digital platform. And new for everybody attending virtual conferences and trying to still move things forward. We're very excited about how this is going to work today and all the work that's been put in by everybody. So from the looks of it, you guys have a very full day with lots of activities and ways to engage than just attending a webinar, and that's exciting. And just doing a welcome, the second time I've welcomed this group to our campus, it is exciting to see so many organizations represented that are servicing the Toledo area for young children and their families. I'm always impressed by the list of people and the names and the organizations that really goes to support the mission and purpose of the EC3, which is, not one organization can give all services to young children and their families. And, I hope from forums like this in supporting the EC3 that these organizations can come together for our local community and be able to give those resources and have resources to pull upon from each other so that we can, as a group, service those needs, because that is really important, especially in the area of young children and their families. So again, welcome to our virtual campus. It's not a better title to a forum during this time and trying to do something virtual, that we do need to stand together to care for ourselves and others. And so I hope that your forum reaches and touches you on that today. And again, welcome to our campus, and we're happy to host it and look forward to trying to do so in the future as well. So enjoy your day at our Owens virtual campus.
Thank you, Dr. Sander. Let's see, I guess if there are no questions, we were through our introduction a little bit early, but that's okay. That'll just give us more time with Dr. Otis.
So I get the honor and privilege of introducing Dr. Otis this morning. I've known Dr. Otis for a great many years and have so much respect for her as a person and for her work. And I'm so glad that people from around Ohio, other states, and I think we have a participant from the United Kingdom here today, that you all get the benefit of hearing what she has to share today. Dr. Otis has been a pediatrician for 30 years. She's been honored to know, love, and serve Central City families through the Mercy St. Vincent Family Care Center here in Toledo. And she began the Mercy Family Care Team, which provided multiple services to children and families, including connecting families to a medical provider to care for them and their child, palliative care for those who are completely ill, and family counseling, utilizing the principles of hand-in-hand parenting, which you're going to learn a little bit about today. She also served as the medical specialist for ethics and chaired Mercy's Toledo Northern Region Adult Institutional Review Board from 1990 till now. Dr. Otis was named the American Academy of Pediatrics Ohio Chapter Pediatrician of the Year in 2011 to 12 and the March of Dimes Physician of the Year in 2013. She's also won numerous other awards for research. She is a certified hand-in-hand parenting instructor. She leads parent groups and teaches an online professionals intensive. And I'm sure she would want me to include that she and her life partner raised 2 adopted and 1 foster son who are now successful adults using this parenting approach. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Pamela Otis.
Oh, Christy, thank you so very much. That was totally sweet, personal and professional. I appreciate it very much. And I also want to thank the committee for having done an amazing job organizing this completely new third annual forum. And to be together on Zoom is totally different. And I will say that I love being able to see your faces. I hesitate to put up my PowerPoint because I don't want to say goodbye to you all. But I promise you will get to be meeting with each other. It will not be all PowerPoint. There will be interaction during this keynote. But I really did want to start by being able to see faces. All of our beautiful, phenomenal faces all put together is very hopeful for me. So I will begin with my PowerPoint and we will start our official talk. So I want to thank you as providers very specifically. I have practiced alongside you virtually for my whole career, counting on all the tremendous things that you do with children every day. And I agree that this is a community project. No one person or one organization can successfully raise our children, backing parents to do the critical job that they do. So remember to look away from your screen every now and then, save your eyes, and yes, make yourself comfortable, move, stand up, walk around. We are lightening the load all day today. I love this focus, and we are starting with another profound thank you. This is only a short list of what it is you do every day for children and for parents, grandparents who are caring for children and each other. I quote one of my mentors, Rudy Nickens from St. Louis, Missouri, who talks about the fact that we are victorious. I want to congratulate you for making it to the conference today, for prioritizing yourselves for this day to focus on lightening the load and self-care, and enjoy that truth, enjoy standing in the truth of our goodness and our victory. So we're going to start off with each of us having a chance to spend a few minutes with somebody else. These are suggested questions that you might want to answer as you get to know someone new. We will be put into breakout rooms randomly and have a couple of minutes for each person to introduce ourselves. And it will be timed so that when those 4 minutes are over, we will all come back together to this main room. So have a chance to at least get to know one other person for starters. So I think, Michelle, is this your moment to send us off?
Yes, it is. And so we have a maximum of 50 breakout rooms. So there'll be 2 to 3 of you in a room. So I'm going to send you there, and then you'll get a notice when we're going to bring you back. It'll give you a countdown. So when you get there, make sure you start sharing with each other right away.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, welcome back. We did it. We did one breakout. Congratulations to Michelle and all of us. Going out and coming back is always fraught with a little bit of excitement. So thank you all for joining in this adventure today. So our purpose is really personal today. This is about each of us personally. There will be afterglow that will spread out in our professional lives, in our families, and in our community. But this is for us as people. So I come to you from Hand in Hand Parenting. It's a 40-year nonprofit focused on those of us who are paying attention to the well-being of young ones. And I want to draw a little attention to the fact that I am also part of a group with Hand in Hand, a group of 4 women who are early childhood educators across the US, working with Harvard Center on the Developing Child on a research project looking at using the tools of Hand in Hand in early childhood education settings. We did a pilot project focused primarily in New England, where a couple of our researchers are, with Head Start and a couple of other preschools, using these tools in the preschools themselves. The feasibility study is completed. We're working on a manuscript and pilot study next. There are 5 hand-in-hand tools. The one we are going to be looking at and focusing on entirely today is listening partnerships. That's the one for us. That's the one that builds emotional support for us. It's certainly based in the theoretical framework of the others, which we will take a look at. This is something you all know, just a reminder that we are humans. We are based in connection as humans with each other, and that infants' brains are fed by this I love you and want to know, share my mind, understand you communication that we also did or did not experience as infants ourselves. This is critical for neural pathway development. The amygdala, just a little bit of neuroscience. You do have a geeky doctor with you here today, and I have to own my own biases, but I love this science that has backed up what it is those of us in the world with children know, and that this quote unquote primitive or midbrain part of our brain is crucial for connection, for memories, for this lovely reciprocal conversation that this man is having with this gorgeous baby. It's also the place where upsets happen. It's the place where upsets can storm and interrupt the smooth pathway to that prefrontal and frontal cortex. There's a reason that our judgment and our attention and our impulse control get completely derailed when there's a storm of emotion in that amygdala. And it's beautiful that we're understanding that more and more, that children and adults who fly off the handle are not bad people, but we do have something going on in our brain that derails that frontal lobe from being able to take charge of the situation. And I love this 700 synapses per second in the first 2 years of life. If you ever wonder about the meaning of your work, take that quote personally. We are making a difference every second of a child's life. So when that beautiful connection we saw with that man and that baby, when that is broken, which happens way too many times a day, it's an emotional emergency, just like falling and breaking a leg is a medical emergency. That's how the child experiences it. And for infants, that need for connection is almost constant. As children get a little older, they can remember, they can retain that connection for longer and longer periods of time, not needing that almost continual physical and emotional connection. The good news is we can heal from these disconnects, which have happened to us as infants and certainly happen to infants now. And what we see a child do, we'll move out of infancy into our age group of preschoolers running outside to go play. And as they're running as a group, sometimes happens that feet get tangled up and somebody falls and gets a skinned hand and a skinned knee. And if there isn't a lot of emotional residue, they might just jump up and keep running. if this is being used as a pretext for sharing some upset feelings, that young one will look for an adult and run to an adult crying. But they usually don't cry as openly and as heartily if there isn't somebody there to pay attention, to be patient, to be calm, to be loving, and to connect with that child and loan them the confidence that they're okay. We don't need to say anything, we just listen. And that arc of emotion happens, the crying, the crying, the crying. Sometimes the children shake when they're feeling scared, and then it resolves. They've gone through their arc of emotion, they've stored the information away from the event that happened. They can see that it was an accident, that Jimmy or Susie or Lily didn't shove them over. It was just what happened in that robust run. And they're confident again, they're flexible, and they leave that situation without emotional residue. They leave it with zest and ready to go back out and play. Well, we all had events that happened to us like that. There so far hasn't been a perfect set of parents and a perfect set of culture to raise a child without difficulties. Doesn't mean we're not good. My friend Joanna Gabriel, who I love to quote, says we're good, and goodly or good parents, children, families, and are doing the very best we possibly can given the resources and information we have. I used to recite this to myself, I think many times a day when my children were home and young and I made one mistake after another. I knew I was doing the best I could. It just never seemed to measure up to what I thought I should be able to do, or certainly what I wanted to do. So I would love it if we were all together. I miss interacting with you personally in a large group, in small groups, but we can reflect on these questions. I suspect many of us are parents, and many of us either currently are or certainly have struggled juggling so many responsibilities. We all had horrible things happen to us as children. Tough, hard, challenging things. And that residue of what's left from our own childhoods leaves us really struggling to remember that we're brilliant, that we're beautiful, that we're lovable, that we're magnificent human beings. And I think so many of us end up from the results of this is that we kind of feel safest alone, quietly alone. And that when we're with people, it means we need to take care of them. That's what happened to many of us, understandably. And this emotional residue that's left from our own growing up weighs on us. It does weigh on us. It weighs on me. It weighs on everyone. And it confuses our thinking that when these feelings are running rampant in our amygdala and our frontal lobes are getting interrupted, we don't always make the best decisions. Our judgment isn't always the best. So we are in this together. The good news is we do, as humans, who seem very fragile in this area, I will say, we do experience hurt easily as children, which is sweet. And the hopeful part is we do have a very efficient and effective natural healing system that we see hopefully in each other as well as in children often. And these talking about something, laughing away light fears and embarrassments, our tears, our trembling when we're scared, yawns tend to resolve sort of physical tensions. And I will say one of the most dramatic teaching points for me as a young pediatrician and as a pediatrician through my career until I stopped going to the delivery room was my experience in the delivery room. And I was never there as a delivering mother, as Christy so preciously described. but I've been there for hundreds, if not thousands, of other deliveries. And there is a tension, there is a hope, there is a wondrousness in the delivery room. And especially if there's any question about what might be going on, if there's any little bit of risk for this delivery. When that baby is separated from that totally safe, enclosed, warm, dark, close situation and sort of shows up in this bright light, cold, startling, separated, talk about disconnection. That's a pretty dramatic disconnection. Now that baby has to breathe. That baby has to do everything for itself. Its heart has to change the flow of blood. That baby cries. There is a big, loud cry hopefully. And we all respond to that cry. And again, I'd love to be doing this live and getting people's, and we can actually, if you want to unmute and just say, what is that cry like in the delivery room? For those of you that have been there, what's it like when you hear that baby cry? Anybody, just unmute and say it.
So the cry, it's like the baby, like it wants its mom. So it's like you're hearing that for the first time. So it's like just so calming. It's so like peaceful. So
like a cry for help. It sounds like it's a cry that you need immediate want to respond to, that needs an immediate response.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? What's it like to hear that cry in the delivery room?
I said, thank God.
It's like you're 100% focused on that cry. Like it takes you over,
It's a reassuring cry.
You all, yes, 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 and yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we're thrilled. We're thrilled. I will say one of the men who taught me, Dr. Ron David, who is just a regal, tall, gentle, Black neonatologist that I will treasure for the rest of my life. I remember him like it was yesterday, and it was 35 years ago, when he was training us the very first time in the delivery room, where there were 10,000 deliveries a year. He said, okay, you pediatricians, you will need this towel to dry the baby. You'll need this, a little suction bulb, nose. You'll need this, maybe this laryngoscope if the baby isn't breathing, to intubate the baby. And we're all just, oh my gosh, you'll need this tube to put in to the trachea to breathe for the baby. And now we are terrified. And he's so calm and so kind. And then he said, and the last thing you'll need is a diaper, because you will be scared shitless when this baby comes out blue and limp. And then of course we could laugh. He's a brilliant man. So that cry means we don't need any of those things. We need the towel and, and then get the baby to the mother and the father. So the cry is totally welcome. Nothing sounds better in the world than that cry. And yes, we want to pay attention. We want to pay attention. But something happens to our attitude. The cry doesn't change, right? But something happens between the delivery room and the rest of that baby's life. Now, something happens. Our attitude is we need to silence that cry. We need to quiet that cry, which is totally well intended. Our intention is if we quiet the cry, we quiet the hurt, right? If the baby's not crying, the connection is actually there. That's our intention. It looks like maybe what needs to happen actually is that we do pay attention. We do come. We do what that beautiful man was showing, and we listen. So this, as we allow ourselves, and this is about us, to let that emotional residue dissolve, the load is lightened. We actually can cry something through, and we can look and think and act much more flexibly. I love this gentleman's face over here in the right corner. He is ready to think and live well by himself and those around him. So our listening partnership is a safe time and place designated for us to relearn, reestablish this natural healing process. And exchanging listening starts it, and we gain connection both by listening and talking in this relationship. It's an agreed upon time designed to lighten the load. It's not a conversation. In a conversation, when one person is talking, if I'm having a conversation with Kathy, for example, while Kathy's talking, I'm listening to Kathy, but I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. This is different. In this relationship, the listener is listening 100% focused attention, confident in the goodness and the goodness and humanness of the person who's talking. Safety gets better, tension's released, thinking gets better, and that load is lightened. So we make a general agreement that we're each our own best experts, that we don't really benefit from criticism or judgment. I know my training as a physician was very much based on heavy criticism, and I will say I don't think it really helped me much. It's embarrassing and humiliating that we actually get to have confidence in each other and notice each other's goodness. So we have two people thinking about one person in the listening partnership. Two people are listening and thinking about, one person is talking, but the listener and the talker are both thinking about the person who's talking. The listener gets to remember our own goodness, the other person's goodness, be respectful, appreciative, and very definitely and importantly, remember confidentiality. We've all shared something with someone and thought, you know, it was in confidence. We didn't maybe say, or maybe we did say, please don't tell anyone. And then we hear it, oh my gosh. And it's made us all quite leery of sharing things that really are loads that are better off shared than held on our own. So I'll have just look for a nod of heads, a heartfelt yes, I will keep confidentiality because it does rebuild trust, and we all have to rebuild that trust with each other, and it will take us reminding one another. We'll forget, and that's okay, but we can remind each other. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Please don't go there. So the talker gets to choose what she's going to talk about and experiment with this whole idea of vulnerability and noticing feelings and seeing if we can stay with them. We've all trained ourselves from very early on in our lives to slide off feelings like Teflon, not to stick like Velcro. So if we can start retraining our minds to stay with feelings, notice them, notice that lump in my throat and those tears in the back of my eyes, or that laughter that just peels off. Stay with it and see what happens. So we're going to try it. We're not going to learn how to do this without trying. So these are prompts. I trust your mind, and I want you all to trust your own minds to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Maybe there's something going on in your life right now that you really want a few minutes to talk about. That's great. That's fine. You can also look at great memories of your own childhood. Who did play with you? Who listened to you when you were a child? And we'll do, I'm readjusting our times a little bit because we have 50 rooms, and so I was thinking we had 2 people in a room, but I think we're going to end up more with like 3 people in a room, if my math is correct. So we are going to work on this having 2-minute turns. So in your breakout room, there will not just be 2 of you, there will likely be 3. So one of you please take charge of a timer. All of us have these confounded wonderful tools that have timers on them. So please set a timer so that you can know when your turn is up, when the talker's turn is up, and go to the next person. It's not anywhere near long enough. I know that. This is just an introduction. This is just to get us started. So we are going to go to our breakout rooms again. The listeners, listen, just pay your beaming, glorious attention. And we'll come back together after, it'll be about 7 minutes total, because we'll give you a minute to extra to get settled, but go ahead and start. Michelle will put people into breakout rooms. Have a great time. See you in a few minutes.
So Pam, I just want.
Body language is a beautiful thing. Okay, so I think we're all back. And we will, again, so we can try this. If you want to unmute and just say a word, what was it like being the listener? What was it like getting to just listen to someone? Not having to fix or do anything. Anybody, speak up.
It was humbling for me. I really appreciate the fact of being able to hear and empathize with Nancy. I was on with Nancy, and it was a calming experience for me.
Sweet, thank you.
It felt relatable because, you know, I feel like, especially us as women, we sometimes hear what we are thinking from listening to someone else, and not just what we're thinking, but what we're experiencing as well.
Thank you. Yes, beautiful. Anybody else?
Good morning. My name is Queen Smith. And for me, I just, like the other lady said, as far as relatable goes, but I also just tried to put myself in the shoes of the women that were talking and join in on some of the things that's weighing in on them, because we all walk the same at some point.
Oh,
Dr. Otis, we also had somebody comment in the chat. Bethany said it's difficult not to be a fixer and try to fix the problem.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Often that's the first thing that people say. Oh, what do you mean I can't say something? I have advice to give them. So thank you for that comment. Yes, and it isn't that people don't need and deserve information. They do. There's plenty of time and place for that. This is a different mode of being together. So, oh, beautiful. I'm glad that one got in there. And how about talking? What was it like to have a chance to talk, even for a minute and a half or 2 minutes without being interrupted?
It's easy. It is easy. I can talk all day. So
thank you, Devon. Anybody else?
It was a bit odd to talk. Used to usually listening to others. So having to talk, I found myself like really digging to find something to talk, because usually it's the other way around.
Oh, Ritu, thank you so much. Yes, so there we have the 2 beautiful bookends of, oh my gosh, talk for 2 minutes without someone interrupting and taking over. Oh, that's really uncomfortable. And there are others who can just talk freely. It's lovely. And we all get to do both. That's excellent. Thank you so much. Beautiful. So this whole idea of self-care is we can't keep giving out what we're not receiving. And we are giving out attention and resource all day, every day. And to expect us to to keep doing that and not get dried up and crusty and flaky and calloused is not realistic. So this is genuinely important work. And we know that whatever our emotional trigger points are get bigger and bigger and more fragile the more tired and stretched we feel. Something that might trigger us on one day doesn't have any effect at all on another. And that's simply the level of emotional residue. How high is it here in my vision? So we're going to do another listening partnership. Suggested topic, and again, anything you want to talk about, I trust you. But what would it be like to prioritize me, my well-being, to take self-care seriously, for real? And where have we succeeded, and where has it been challenging? And again, I think we'll stay in the 2 minutes each range if you're in a 3-way. If you're in a 4-way, we'll cut it down to about 1.5 minutes. And again, these turns aren't anywhere near long enough, but we're learning a new skill. And I think I'm going to pass on this. We are imagining your reflections. I'm hoping this taking turns listening is getting a little easier, and that the technical pieces are not making it impossible for everyone. Thank you. So this whole idea of self-care is really integral to our health and well-being, and our professional lives as well. And it's not self-indulgent for many of us, and I'm one who's thought, oh, no, I can't do this. I have way too much work to do, and I can't possibly do this. And over many years, it's been something I've taken, little grains of sand at a time to try to figure out. And I will say that my listening partnerships have been critical to me being able to even have 2 thoughts to put together about this. And the listening partnership can be a part of this larger system of self-care that can involve any one of a number of things. And I think the challenge for many of us is to figure out, where do I start? Where's a place I can start? What's a tiny, small, achievable goal? And whatever that might be. And maybe it's being sure I get a glass of water when I first get up in the morning, that I don't start my day off dehydrated. I'm not talking about taking a week's vacation here with our best girlfriends. Now, there may be those of us who do get to figure those things out, but I want us to be able to start with something small and achievable, because with anything, it's going to be one tiny step at a time. And maybe it's, who in my life do I want as a listening partner? Who's the person in my life that already listens to me well, and I would like to be able to do this exchange with? That would be a great place to start. 5 minutes each on the telephone is doable, is doable. So we're going to have another chance at this to look at what your 1 or 2 priorities might be, and what is a tiny, small, achievable goal for one of those or 2 of those. And we will go back to our breakout rooms. And again, our minutes are changed. We will actually do more like 2 minutes each, depending on how many of you are in a breakout room. Divide up the time, and we will. And you know what, Michelle? Let's make, instead of making it a 7-minute time frame, let's make it, no, we should do 7 minutes. That's good, because we're almost finished.
Okay, are you ready to go to breakouts?
Ready. Maybe as people come back, you can, if you want to say, gee, that was hard, or wow, what a relief to actually think about myself for 2 minutes. Yeah, unmute and just comment if you'd like to while we all gather.
That was kind of difficult to come up with things like how we react like on a different like basis. So it's like, I mean, it was kind of easy because like it's like, oh, I get to talk about myself and like let other people hear what I like to say and about myself. So like the feelings just go out, just let it out. So
good. Boy, Larissa, in one comment you covered both ends. Hard, good. Thank you. Thank you. You being willing to speak up. Are we all back, Michelle?
Yes, they should all be back.
Okay. Well, congratulations. These are challenging questions. We're not asking easy things here, but prioritizing and thinking about ourselves will always be a good idea to the extent we can do it at any given time. And I think this whole concept and practice of listening partnership is, we've taken off a good beginning bite. It's not a quick fix. Our lives are not sitcoms. They're not even epic movies. They are real. And it took many years for us to accumulate the emotional residue that we have, and it's going to take some time to dissolve it. So having a regular listening partner is a great step in doing that. And I will say that as a testimony of one, I was a woman who was never, ever going to get married. Never, ever, ever. It looked like a really bad deal for women as far as I could tell. I had resolve. And I will say that the person who taught me this whole thing of listening partnerships is a man. And I did marry him, and we are still married 41 years later. And he is alive and has not been dismembered, which is a good thing. But it's not been an easy road. But our listening partnership and our other listening partnerships have been critical to that success. Once we break the habit of commenting, which is a hard habit to break for most of us, there are some things we can say. And I think one of the most important things we can notice is when someone's talking about feeling bad, feeling sad, feeling overwhelmed, and they've had a chance to talk about what's going on now, whatever it is, at some point we can say, gee, what's the very first time you can remember ever feeling that way? And for most of us, there are incidents back there in our early childhoods that may take a little bit of time to dust off, but they're there. And I liken this to a giant pile of sticks. Now, if we have a giant pile of sticks that I need to get rid of, I can talk about the present time annoyances and frustrations, and that's taking one stick off at a time, one stick off the top at a time. But meanwhile, more sticks are accumulating. But if I can go into the bottom of this pile of dried sticks with a match and a lit piece of newspaper, we had a little bonfire last night in our fire pit, boy, the whole thing burns up. So if we can go back to those early times, it's a lot more efficient and successful. So I want to say thank you for your participation, for your willingness to try something new and different with each other, counting on each other in new ways. And I would love to be available for questions. I want you to see this quote. I have been quoting this a lot since March, when my listening partnerships have cranked up heavy, and I do cry and laugh a lot. When I watch movies or with people who agree to exchange time, both.